In this tutorial, we're going to look through the open world system within Survival RPG Engine. The open world system is the key to ensuring large-scale open worlds are possible using the Unreal Engine SRPGE system. As you can see from this flyover, our demo world isn't afraid to show off what it can do. At 4 kilometers by 4 kilometers in size, with tens of thousands of interactable objects, you really get a sense for what's possible. There are 2 critical components that must exist in the world. Firstly, the SRPGE Master Blueprint. This is where we store, save, and load our SRPGE system. As Survival RPG Engine is fully replicated, we need to ensure everyone in the game sees the same thing. The SRPGE Master will first construct the SRPGE data points, and then ensure that any SRPGE splines are loaded. The SRPGE spline is what houses the SRPGE functionality and contains a spline to control where you want that SRPGE graph to spawn. As you can see here, if I move the spline points, what is spawned in the world changes. Next, let's look at the SRPGE graph that is connected to the spline. Firstly, it gets the spline data from its parent and projects that onto the landscape to build out the SRPGE points for spawning. Then we get to this PE respawn BP that is tied into a difference node. This is core to the overall system as it brings in used SRPGE points and removes them from the SRPGE system, ensuring when a tree is cut down, that point is removed. This information comes from the removed points in the SRPGE Master from earlier. Next, let's look at the Game State Play Blueprint. As the name suggests, the game state houses the current state of the game. On Begin Play, we get the SRPGE Master as a reference. This is also where we call Add and Remove on the SRPGE points. There are 2 ways that this system is interacted with. Let's start with the player. When the player attempts to hit something with a tool, it will perform a trace. If this trace hits an instance static mesh, it will check the open world data table for a reference, and if it finds one, it will spawn a new actor at that SRPGE point before removing it. What is spawned is the Harvesting Master. This is the parent blueprint for anything that can be harvested. As instance static meshes are not replicated by default, we need to ensure it is removed for all users. We go through on Begin Play. Next, let's look at the interaction component. We use this as a way to be able to interact with items that are not hit by anything, but rather picked up. It works exactly the same way the hit version works. Now that we know how these points are added to the list, there are a few other pieces within the PSGE graph. Firstly, a filter for landscape paint, allowing us to spawn different things based on what is painted on the landscape, such as grass or dirt. A filter for water that makes sure we don't spawn trees and rivers. And finally, the instanced static mesh spawner that spawns all of the instances. This is broken up into two sections, one for all of the trees and one for the other interactables like rocks and branches. You can set up your PSGE graphs however you want. So how do you control all of this? Using the Open World Interactable Data Table. Within this data table, the row name has to match the file name of the static mesh you would be interacting with. There are then a few options, such as should it convert on look or only when hit, and what class should it spawn when it does convert. The actual tree class is just a child of the harvesting master with its own setup for respawn time, tool type, health, effects, audio, etc. If we look at the actual static mesh, the most important part is to ensure that both interactable and PSGE mesh are set as blocked in the collision settings and that the file name matches what is in the data table row. Now let's bring it all together into the world. As you can see, all of the trees are part of the PSGE instanced static mesh system. However, when I go and hit the tree, it converts to an actor. Let's also look at respawning. If I go into the Harvesting Master and put a breakpoint on the respawn before destroying the tree, we can see what happens. The respawn block is hit, and using the respawn time set, a timer is enabled that will respawn the instance static mesh and destroy the actor. This ensures that everything remains performant even when chopping down lots of trees. Lastly, let's look at a collectible that you don't need to hit. It works exactly the same way, except it will convert to an actor when looked at rather than when hit. I hope this has given you a quick rundown of the open world system and how Survival RPG Engine can quickly and easily enable you to create your dream game.